Again, I call the meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Ham.
Here.
Toohill.
Here.
Flournoy.
Here.
Gandy.
Yes.
Kness.
Yes.
Rowe.
Here.
Okay, great. There is a request to add Terry Baker under our public appearances. So if there's no objection, I'd like to add her at the bottom there. Okay, and with that, we will move on to the consent agenda. Approval of the minutes of the February 12th, 2024 council meeting. Approval of the February 16th, 2024 payroll in the amount of $151,616.19. Acceptance of the Arbor Committee minutes. Acceptance of the Personnel Committee minutes. Acceptance of the Environmental and Franchise Utility Committee minutes. Approval of total claims in the amount of $262,994.36. We had one claim more than $75,000 for the small cities and counties insurance, our insurance in the amount of $79,386.89.
Move to approve consent agenda.
Okay, thank you. Moved by Gandy.
Second.
Second by Kness. Any discussion?
I did go through the claims and everything looked good.
Okay, great. Any other questions? No, please call the roll.
Gandy.
Yes.
Kness.
Yes.
Flournoy.
Yes.
Rowe.
Yes.
Ham.
Yes, but I abstain from the minutes.
Toohill.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. It was approved. Under public forum and appearances, we have Stephanie Mischler here today to talk about the Fairfield Community School District vote that is coming up.
Good evening. I'm excited to be here in an effort to be concise and make sure I respect the decorum of efficient board meetings, which I really appreciate. I organized a few thoughts. So on Tuesday, March 5th, our community will consider a physical plant and equipment levy. You also hear that called PEPL, P-P-E-L. The Fairfield Community School District relies on this PEPL to provide our students with a quality learning environment. FCSD is one of the more than 83% of school districts in Iowa that had a voted PEPL in place this past fiscal year. This levy must be approved every 10 years and generates funds that can only be used for infrastructure and equipment repairs, purchases, and improvements. PEPL money has been used to address various needs in our schools throughout the years. The long list includes roof repairs and replacements, purchasing new school buses, improving school security, and maintaining HVAC systems, among many other projects. Fairfield Schools has many student achievements and success stories our community can be proud of. These accomplishments are made possible thanks to investments in our school system, which we greatly appreciate. A voted PEPL is one of the tools used to protect and maintain the district's assets for future generations. The district's current voted PEPL is scheduled to sunset in June of 2026 with a rate of 67 cents per $1,000 of assessed property value. The district is asking residents to consider approving a rate of $1.34, allowing for continued investments that will help our approximately 1,500 students thrive. Raising the levy rate to $1.34 would have a tax impact of approximately $43 per year on a residential property that's assessed at $150,000, $46 a year on $150,000 of commercial property, and the annual amount for 320 acres of agricultural property would be about $226. You can learn more about the voted PEPL by visiting a specific website. You can get through the district website, but it's also listed on the handout. And hopefully that you've all noticed in your mailboxes that a mailer came home over the weekend or potentially today. If you haven't gotten it today, I would expect that to be coming any day. We had quite an adventure getting those out on Friday, and that has the website listed there too, but it's fairfieldppel.org. And we just thank our residents for their consideration and engagement on the ballot measure.
Any questions?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead.
What's the maximum PEPL that you're allowed to levy?
So currently we have the up to 67 cents, and we're asking to go up to the $1.34.
What's the maximum you can go to?
The $1.34 if it's approved.
And
There's an additional 33-cent board approved PEPL that we take advantage of each year as well.
And that's still in place.
Yep.
And then what's the amount of money that it raises?
So the 67 cents is about $632,000.
That's a huge amount of money for you guys.
Yep. So then obviously the $1.60 or the $1.34 would double that amount. So with aging facilities, it's a necessary fund for us to keep healthy, to continue just to provide the safety and security for school to take place each day. Updated buses, one-to-one technology, all that infrastructure business.
And you can go over and vote now, correct?
Early voting is open now, so you can go to the courthouse now. We had, I hadn't checked in with anybody that had voted today, but we had some staff that went over on Friday, and they were like 29, 30, 31, somewhere right in there. So we've had some folks go out and take advantage of that, and you can do that all week. Definitely encourage people to do that.
Great.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Not, thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Thank you.
I do have one quick, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Is the voting at your normal polls, or is it?
So you will want to go and visit the Secretary of State website to confirm where your polling location is. So sometimes that changes, obviously, with the different elections.
Okay.
But the early voting is just at one location.
At the courthouse.
At the
Yeah.
courthouse,
Oh,
yeah.
there's one more question that I have. These have to be done at special times during the year and only on certain years. So if it were to miss this year, when would be your next opportunity?
The next opportunity would be in September.
Of this year?
Yep. So this particular measure is a March, September, March, and so we would have those three options before it would sunset.
Okay.
We're hopeful
Yeah.
that
Well,
that we'll get
I think it's important to
that
get
this
started
one.
early, so that's good.
Yep.
Okay, now are we done with questions? All right.
Yep,
Okay,
appreciate it.
great,
Thank you.
Daryn Hamilton. Car Collectors Unlimited and Kiwanis Kids Day.
Yes, Council, Mayor, thank you for having me here again. Seems like I'm here quite a little bit lately. The Collect a Car Unlimited car show has gone on in Fairfield for more than 42 years down on our square. We did really well last year. We did a different format for what we had done in the past. We were able to group the cars around the square itself, all of them, and it made it look or appear that it was a really big show. We had around 100 cars that came to the show. We are asking for the Sunday after Kids Day. Kids Day is the 21st, Mr. Farrell told me just a few minutes ago. So it'll be the 22nd of September, and we would like to have the assistance of the city with barricades again. We'll be asking for barricades for Kids Day, and I'll work with Joe Hurd on getting that done. The new part that we're looking at this year, and we've discussed this with the First Fridays Art Walk and Marla Brader in particular, we would like to have cruise nights for 2 nights this year. The first Friday in June and then the first Friday in August. We're hoping that we can catch on that way and have cruises all through the summer, but we're just kind of dipping our toe in the water this first time around just to see how popular it becomes. There's other communities around here that do this on a monthly basis. Mount Pleasant, Washington. Yes,
What
Mr.
is,
Gandy.
you say cruise night?
Yeah,
like
collector
Scoop the
cars,
Loop.
they'll come into town, they'll cruise into town, they'll park around the square, on the inside of the square, and not actually have a show with trophies or anything like that. It's a nice night for people who have collector cars to get together, and they all enjoy doing that. They all have something in common, and I think it will add to the flavor of the First Fridays Art Walks. And I was really pleased that
So do they drive around?
no, they would park and people can come look at their cars, and some of them might drive around the square a couple of times, that kind of thing. But Mount Pleasant is a really good example of a cruise night. They have those once a month, every month, all the way through the summer over there, and they draw probably close to 100 cars.
Mostly they're parked.
Yeah,
Most of them.
mostly they're parked.
Okay.
Cruise in is that they cruise to Fairfield.
Okay.
Then they park and show their car, and then they cruise back home. So, it'll bring more people to town on those particular nights, especially from communities that don't usually make it here for First Fridays Art Walk. And we're hoping that we can not only spur our club along a little bit better, but we can also spur along the First Fridays evenings.
That's a great idea, I think.
So we're going to try that. And for those evenings, we're going to need some barricades around the square to have the parking spaces that are closest to the park itself be blocked off so that the cruise people can park their cars in that area. so that people can look at them and see the activities going on in the square, and then also see all the other activities that go on downtown with the art walk. And again, the committee for the First Friday's Art Walk felt that that would be a good thing for them to be able to have and to be able to bring people to the community.
Are you gonna come back with a map, or do you want us to approve it tonight?
I can come back with a map, but
Well, I trust you.
it's not much that is gonna,
I just know the art walk will block some off because they have vendors that are be using.
yeah,
Spaces.
and we've talked to them, and they said most of those that do use the square are on the square itself, and that all the parking that's on the outside in front of the businesses are not gonna be blocked. So
And-
they'll have access that
Will
way.
your Kids' Day Parade be the same route as last year?
Yes, Kids Day Parade will be the same route as it's been for the last close to 10 years now. Go from the high school across on Broadway to Main, north on Main, up to Hempstead, Grimes, which is on the south side of Howard Park. It'll go past the park, turn and go south on Court, back down to Briggs, and then it'll go along Briggs back to the high school parking lot. And the parade starts at 10 a.m. We block off as much as we can around the inside of the square and for where the tent is going to set. We'll set up the tent on Thursday prior to Kids Day, as we always have. We'll bring our equipment in on Friday morning to set up the tent so that we can start cooking pancakes and welcome the public at 6 a.m. And we'll go until noon.
Did you block off the north side of the square starting Thursday this year? I did, just so you know, I did have one complaint from a
We didn't do
proprietor.
that, we didn't do that until Friday evening. We never block off that north side of the square until Friday evening. So I'm not understanding how that worked, but I'm out
Okay.
there at midnight putting up
Melanie back
barricades.
there knows something.
Homecoming and Kids Day was the same weekend,
Oh,
which
right.
is why we had so much blocked off
Yeah.
last year.
Right, homecoming. That's what
So-
it was. Okay, great. Thank
So,
you.
yeah, it's
That was the
Friday,
issue.
Friday evening late, and then I show up at about 7 a.m.
Gotcha.
the next morning for pancakes. Everybody else is there about 5, so I get to sleep in.
So can I make a motion to approve all three of these requests for June 7th, August 2nd, and September 22nd, without requiring him to come back with a map, since it's gonna be the same as last year?
That would be for the car show.
Oh, this is not 22nd is Kids' Day, 21st?
Kids' Day is
21st
the
So
is
I'll add
Kids'
in the
Day.
21st in for Kids' Day as well.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a motion to accept all these dates.
Can you do that? Can you approve, I'm not saying you can't, can you approve all 3 dates at different events?
It's okay by me,
Okay, all right,
but so, you know,
all right.
What's the question?
Can you approve these are 3 different dates for 3 different organizations?
Well, they're
dates.
they're actually
4 dates, okay.
4 dates
When we
for
do
2 different
noise
events.
exemptions, we approve multiple dates at the same time in the consent agenda.
Right, for the same organization.
yeah.
These are 3 different organizations. I don't have a problem with them
You
just
can make
saying
2
it's
motions
different.
if you want.
No, it's fine, make it simple.
So we
I second.
have a motion for all 4 dates.
I second
So-
it.
And so it's second by Gandy.
Yeah.
Any discussion? Not, please call the roll.
Flournoy,
Yes.
Gandy,
Yes.
Toohill,
Yes.
Ham,
Yes.
Rowe,
Yes.
Kness.
Yes.
One last thing
Yes.
before I leave. The Kids' Day theme this year is building for the future. So if you know people that are wanting to put floats or anything into the parade, that is what they need to have their theme coordinated with. And again, we don't allow any political people into the parade, nobody campaigning or anything like that. Never have, never will. That's a standard from Kiwanis. So those are the 2 things I wanted to mention about our parade and what our theme is going to be. So
Right.
I appreciate the council approving these dates, and I know I've got several people that are really anxious to have that done. So now I can say it's finished. So thank you
Okay,
very
great.
much.
Yeah, thanks, Darren. Okay, and now Terry Baker from Convention and Visitors Bureau.
I have goodies for you guys. And you'll notice that in here I've added
Here, this is for Elizabeth.
All right, I'll bring one up extra over because I just go for this right now. Have it. Sorry.
What's that?
No, bring that
That's
up.
all right.
No, we're good. You have not only my budget for this year, but you also have, I made up a mid-year impact report for you. This is just something that I threw together. Don't get any expectations that I'm going to do this every year. But it was just something that I kind of had a wild hair about and did. But it was kind of to give you an insight on some of the trends that we're noticing with tourism, some things we're noticing and what things we're doing right now. We also have just a little outline of kind of our marketing strategy. You know, marketing is one of those things that we kind of are known for. It's not the only thing that we do, but it is a big part of our budget. It's a big part of the things we do. And I also added in here our new restaurant guide that we use to entice people to come here and eat. To give you just a really brief, quick overview of some things that you'll want to note is on our visitation report, we're really noticing that visits are up in 2023, but what we are noticing is that overnight stays are down considerably. We do believe that some of that is because of the lodging situation that we have, and we're trying to pivot some of our marketing message to make sure that people know we have alternatives. So we do have some hotels that are not full, and we do have some really nice Airbnbs, and we have some different options for people. So we want to be sure that people know that this is still a place that they can come in and stay on their visit. With most of our visitors either coming for business or to visit friends and family, it's really an important message that we get out there. We don't want anybody missing out on that friend and family visit. So the other thing that we are doing this year is creating some new research and data reports. We have accessed some new data. In the past, I know we've told you about the data that we track. We can track visitors coming into town, spending at least 2 hours in town. We can see where they originate, that sort of thing. And we want to know that information so we can know if our marketing is being effective, and also where we can target additional marketing. This year, we are also adding in some new data, and this data allows us to target any area in town, and it tracks people who have been in that area for 7 minutes, a minimum of 7 minutes. This is all using mobile data, of course. What we're able to do, for example, is right now I can tell you that on any average day in the downtown, there are about 3,000 people who are in the downtown. That's either they're living in the downtown, they're working in the downtown, or just coming into the downtown. I can also see that variation of numbers on a Friday, at a First Friday, for example, how many hundreds of people are coming in extra. I can also track that there were 8,000 people who were in the downtown during Kids Day last year. So we know that that's a pretty significant number of people coming into town. So we're going to be using this to look at events, see where people are going. We can also see where they were before they came to the downtown, where they went afterwards, and we can do this for several locations, any location in the community. I will be meeting next week with Lindsay Bauer from the Convention Center. We're going to be looking at the Convention Center and where people are coming from and how many people just walk through those doors on a regular basis for a yearly basis. So it's kind of exciting stuff to see as long as it's not abused, and we are not abusing it. So
You can distinguish between residents and non-residents?
this particular research does not. However, we do have a heat map that we can see. It'll tell us, if we expand the map out, we can see, oh, there's people coming from Des Moines, people coming from Cedar Rapids. So we can see that. We just don't know exactly the percentages. Now, I'm still training on this data, and it's extremely robust, so there may be a way to do that. I just don't know it yet. So. And then you also have our budget, our proposed budget, which is pretty similar to what we had in the past. Again, as you know, our budget is really kind of dependent largely on hotel motel tax coming in, and that can be quite variable. We are looking to see the next quarter that's coming in, if that's changing significantly, and we really feel that we've done a good job of being nimble with our budget when we need to. One of the things we will be doing is looking this year at some additional funding sources, how we will probably be adding ads to our visitor's guide, which we have not done before, but we'll be doing something like that to help keep the printing costs taken care of. So I'm going to keep it short and sweet unless you have questions, because I know I appreciate the mayor and Rebecca getting me added in.
Questions, council?
Appreciate this. Appreciate the information, Terry.
You're very welcome.
Guess y'all can digest it. Questions come up later. Certainly give Terry a call.
It's your late night reading material.
Okay, great. Thanks, Terry, so much for all you do. Appreciate your work. And we know your work makes a difference in our community, so thank you very much.
I'm actually off to Decorah to learn about their wayfinding system, so,
Oh, fun.
yeah.
All righty. So let's go down to resolution, action items, and ordinances. Our first resolution is consideration of employment in the fire department. This is to appoint Brett Farrell as our part-time fire chief at $6,000 per quarter.
Make the motion to accept Brett Farrell as our assistant, or fire chief, right? Part-time fire chief.
Okay,
Sec-
moved by Flournoy.
Second.
Second by Gandy. Any discussion? Not, please call the roll.
Flournoy,
Yes.
Gandy,
Yes.
Toohill,
Yes.
Kness,
Yes.
Rowe,
Yes.
Ham.
Yes.
Great. Approved unanimously. Brett, you want to say anything important? Because, you know, you're all dressed up and you look great, you look like a fire chief, so, you know, you have 60 seconds.
I'm not gonna. I appreciate. You know, when I took the interim job, like almost 11 months ago now, kind of testing the waters to see if we could juggle. If I could juggle all the other stuff that's going on. So, I appreciate the chance to serve as chief of a great fire department and great guys. So, we look forward to lots of good things to come, and hopefully, we'll get that fire station built. The guys are excited, and just appreciate the chance to do this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your work.
Any questions?
Next resolution, consideration of certification of appointment of commissioners to Area 15 Multi-County Housing Agency. As you know, at the beginning, our first meeting in January, we appointed Paul Gandy to Area 15 Multi-Housing. But they want an official resolution, and so they called and requested that, so that's why you have it on your agenda tonight.
I move to approve.
Moved by Kness.
Second.
Second by Flournoy. Any discussion? Not, please call the roll.
Kness,
Yes.
Flournoy,
Yes.
Toohill,
Yes.
Ham,
Yes.
Gandy,
I can vote for this? Yes.
sure, Rowe,
Okay. Yes.
Okay, great. Unanimously passed. Next action item is to set a public hearing for fiscal year 25 proposed property tax levy for Monday, March 25th, 2024 at 6 p.m. And just as a side note, Rebecca let me know that we have to have a 15-minute break between the end of this meeting and the following council meeting. So, for example, if this meeting ends at 6:50, we will take a 15-minute break and start council at 7:05.
What is that required by
We
statute?
may be done,
That's
apparently.
It's not a hard rule, it's what they want, what their preference is that there's at least 15 minutes between meetings. The
Who's that?
state,
Okay.
So if no one shows up at 6 p.m. and we're finished at 6:05, we can wait an hour?
yeah.
Yes, right. So, but you know, we certainly want the public to come and to hear more detail about the budget. And I think our city administrator is putting out some invitations to our other taxing bodies so they can come and listen to. And so we really want the community's participation. And this is, we haven't done this before. It's always been here. And, you know, we hope we have,
Oh, are we changing the location of our meeting?
yes.
So,
Oh, well, you need
Where
a separate
will-
motion
where
for
will
that.
it
Not,
be?
not this particular
Not this
public
one?
hearing, no.
No.
This is the public hearing on the proposed
Right.
Okay.
levy,
Okay.
yes.
Oh, for the, yes.
What hearing are we gonna be changing the location?
I do believe,
the public presentation
public presentation.
Okay.
from the department heads,
Oh, I see.
and that date has not been set
That won't be,
yet.
that won't be a council meeting, that'll just be a public presentation, so you don't need a
Okay.
special meeting for that. That's
Yeah,
just a.
okay. I thought that you meant that this was part of that, so I misunderstood. So anyway, this one will be here.
Yes, that one will be here.
This will be
That-
here.
That in particular one, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sorry for my confusion.
There's a lot.
Alrighty, so,
Oh,
Is
so
there a
you need a
motion to
motion
approve?
to, so I make the motion to set the public hearing for the fiscal year 25 proposed property tax levy for March 25th at 6 PM.
okay,
Second.
moved by Flournoy, second by Kness. Any other discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Flournoy,
Yes.
Kness.
Yes.
Rowe,
Yes.
Ham,
Yes.
Gandy,
Yes.
Toohill.
Yes.
Under the mayor's report, just a couple things. First off, I want to certainly publicly thank Ways and Means for working so hard on the budget and just being smart people working on it, and they did a great job. The other thing is I was out by Waterworks in Pleasant Lake, and if you haven't been out that way, they are working on cleaning out some where the a lot of those pine trees are on the trail. A lot of restoration, and so that's looking great. I think it's going to be lovely, and appreciate all the people who are working on that. And last thing is, I'm going to pass one of these out. I last week met with FIDA, Ed Malloy and Julie Albert from FIDA, a couple chamber reps, Mendy and Denise Hall, beautification, Deb Williamson, Terry Baker from CVB, Elizabeth Esty was there from the council, discussion about downtown revitalization. One of the items that is coming up for discussion point is the Main Street Iowa program. So I'm going to just pass these out. These are a couple flyers about the Main Street program, and Mendy also provided what I thought was an interesting piece about communities in Iowa that participate in this program, their private and public investment in their downtowns. And pretty significant. And so at our next meeting, Mendy will be here to talk about it and give us a little more information. And so this is kind of to read about the program, get you a little bit acclimated. It sounds like basically what Mendy thought, or what Mendy's information had, was that this takes about $75,000 a year to administer this program. So it's possible that there could be a request back to City Council to participate if we go down this road. But last week, many of the people wanted to at least put in a request that our intent to apply. That has to be in by March 31st. Then there's a full application that's due sometime in May. But again, Mendy will give us the details on that and a little bit more detail. I think we're going to talk about this further in our next meeting. So this is high level, and I wanted you to be aware of that presentation coming
Just
up.
to be clear, what are we applying for? Money?
Not at this point. This would be part of this program.
What does the program do for us specifically?
Well, that's what I want you to read here.
All
And Mendy will come and talk about it. My understanding is, there is some federal money and state money that's available to help revitalize your downtown. I think there's some money for buildings. There's an assessment that you can get about your downtown that's worth, I think it was $2,500. They come down and assess and look at things. There is a $100,000 building rehabilitation grant that's available. And again, if you look at the last page that shows private and public investment, obviously these people are getting grants from some of these areas and from various areas, and so it's an opportunity to leverage dollars. And how this will all work out for us, I don't know yet. So there's some work to be done, But this will give you, again, the flyers will give you a high level of what the program is.
You can get more information on the Iowa Economic Development Association website also.
Yes, correct.
Some of
It's
these
got a
towns
pretty
have been
robust
doing this
website.
for 35 years. Dubuque,
Yeah.
1985.
Yeah,
$883 million.
yeah. And apparently Fairfield had looked at this, I think Terry Baker told me today, Fairfield had looked at this several years ago and decided to pass.
Yeah.
But felt like maybe it was a time to relook at it again. And
Chamber
again-
of Commerce looked at it at least twice.
Okay.
Back when Mike Brewer was director, I
Okay.
recall, and at the end of Bob Phipps when they were transitioning. And also when the Chamber and FIDA were separating, they were also looking at it as a possible other mechanism. So both times, I think there was some concern that it might pull membership away from the Chamber because it is a membership-supported organization. But the other side of it is there's a lot of things that can come from having it, and not every town that wants to be in Main Street gets to be in Main Street. They decide if your town's suitable. So, I don't have any doubt that our town's suitable, but you still have to go after it. So,
yeah. And I think that's one of the questions that we've got to hash out is how would it be organized? We using existing organizations that we have, sharing a staff person, that kind of thing has not been really discussed in a detailed manner. So more to come on that, but again, this will give you a high level. Go out to the state's website, look at it, and again, I don't know what our participation would be or what our ask would be at this point. So more to come on that, and Mindy will come on March 11th, so I do have her scheduled for that. I think that's it for me. City Attorney report?
yes. Probably about half a dozen things. Most of them involve myself and Weston McKee. And I didn't know if Weston's going to be here tonight or not, but true to form, about every 2 months, Weston and I get sued. Last week, we were served with papers, and we've been sued by the Sovereigns for $2 million each for trespassing as part of the inspection duties we have. I filed a motion to dismiss that. It's harassment as far as I'm concerned, but it's something that I need to mention to you. We'll see. I'm waiting on something back on another one of these from ICAP, and they haven't decided whether to assign us some ICAP representation on it. I think they think it's kind of farcical too, which that's the right word. So I'll keep you informed on that. We did have a reimbursement claim with one of our law enforcement officers that went across the hall. We, during the month of January, with the check just clearing, we received a lump sum payment for about 2/3 of what was owed. We extended about a 23% discount, provided that we got that lump sum when it was available, and the rest of it's going to be paid off over about 20 months at $130 a month. So it's a good workout on not a large claim. We did have a cleanup out in the newly exchanged hands mobile home park at the west side of town. And an individual who's doing 10 years in prison had a $10,000 bond. We had a hearing on that a couple months ago about the bond being exonerated when he was committed to the Department of Corrections. And our judge said, you're going to assign half of it to different costs and claims that the county attorney has, and the other half of it's going to go to the city in escrow to be applied towards the cleanup costs of this man's mess out in the mobile home park. Weston participated with a group of private contractors that the new mobile home park owners contracted with, and between the two, the city had basically Weston and a piece of equipment out there for about $675 worth of a bill. There was about $4,500 worth of bill from the private contractors, crew and equipment on the mobile home park owner side. We've just got done certifying to the court that our bill came in about $5,200. That's greater than the amount escrowed of $5,000. The man and his girlfriends have been calling us repeatedly about when they're going to get their money back, if there's any left over from prison. The bad news is he will not be getting any money back. That's our certification. In fact, he will actually still owe us a couple $100. So that's the way it's supposed to work, though. And happy to report that on this one, the cleanup bill's almost completely paid for. We had a hearing, Weston testified about Mary Welch at 302 East Burlington. It's a big 2-story red brick house. It actually is historic. It actually has what we call good bones. And during the course of the matter, Weston indicated that this property, as Mary told us about previously, she thought she might have a buyer for. She now has a buyer for it, and they've actually had a closing. The buyer and Weston have conversed a couple times, and the buyer understands that there's a list of things in process. For the price the buyer got it for, the buyer was willing to take the risk. So we're confident that something's going to start happening over there. We'll see how that goes, but Weston has the guy's phone number, the guy's information, and we allowed that closing to go ahead, which means after the court is informed about all of this, that the court will cut Mary loose on that property, but the property's still going to be there with a list of things that need work. The new buyer understands that he's standing in her shoes, and if he doesn't do what he said he was going to cooperate with, we'll just refile similar abatement filing. But that one's worked out pretty well so far.
Is the new buyer local? Is he local?
I believe he's from Ottumwa.
Okay.
We
So
also...
what's the zoning on that property?
Pardon?
What is the zoning on that property? Do you happen to know?
It's R2 over there.
R2?
Yeah. We had some things happen on our dog case, and we had a sentencing hearing after we had a trial. And the dog owners did show up, and their attorney did show up, and we spent about an hour and a half going over what could be done about the remediation. Right now, there's a 5-page order proposed as far as how they can remedy things over there to the satisfaction of the 32 neighbors that petitioned. The court's going to review that with them in about 10 days on a Thursday. Let's see, yeah, it'd be about right. Not this Thursday, but the following Thursday, and allow them to do a little bit of picking and probably arguing about the proposed order from us. Weston and I have talked about it a couple times, and we think it's got everything in it to remediate, including information on what it would cost to have a private provider go in and clean up the place. It's over $5,000. Also, instructions from a landscape architect on how to remediate a pet soiled lawn. Also, some things that we picked up concerning the interior of the house and things to look for as far as public health concerns and hygiene. And all of those things are built into the order we're asking the court to consider. The other part of the case had to do with 36 dogs being in the house, only 2 of which anybody claimed to know anything about ownership or possession or control until we had the sentencing meeting last week. We now have an order that the court will consider about requiring essentially an inventory of the dogs, some plan as far as how many of those 36 dogs are going to get to stay. Again, this all arises out of our animal control ordinance not having a specific number as far as what to do, but in the meeting and the sentencing proposals, we had a, what's the right term, frank and open discussion about how many of 36 dogs in a 2-bedroom nice house should still be in a 2-bedroom nice house. After they inventory the animals, make a proposal back, I expect there's still going to be a large number of animals, but they're going to be subject to some rules, and probably all of the animals. The first thing that will probably do some culling is the fact that the judge told them that 36 animals will need to be licensed, their vaccination records put on file with the city. It's part of our licensing ordinance. They also will have to, as far as other things that may characterize the way the animals are kept, look at whether there is a kennel, whether there is boarding going on, or whether there is breeding going on. And those are things that are separate aspects of our animal control ordinance. So there will be more to come, and this is intended on the, for instance, the remediation on the outside of the house. 32 neighbors said it stinks, that the yard is essentially dead. The court is willing to allow them through the end of the summer to freshen and restore the lawn. And there's a whole protocol for that, according to landscape architect, about a way you can redo somebody's lawn that is pet damaged. Not going to give you a lecture on all of that you need, but the order deals with that, and the outside gives them, subject to 60-day reviews, 2 or 3 chances to try to get the lawn back in shape, including some suggestions on how to handle the dogs so they don't create the same situation all over again. Also, there are things that are part of the order as far as noise controls that may involve animals wearing bark collars, also tarping of the fence so that animals on one side aren't set off by animals on the other side, because the neighborhood doesn't like the barking and the yipping and so forth from that many animals, but a lot of the neighbors have animals that probably provoke the barking and yipping, so you never have a 100% situation as far as who's responsible. And then the rest of the order anticipates how you maintain this after a while, and that again is a numerical question, I believe. So anyway, we'll probably make, as part of the way this thing develops, the inside of the house issues are intended to be resolved in the next 60 days. The outside, it sounds like the end of August is as far as that could go. But hopefully this thing will be resolved to the neighbor's satisfaction over there. At the sentencing conference that we had last week, we had 5 of the neighbors show up still wanting to know what was going on. We had 8 of them testify during the trial. So there's still quite a bit of interest in the surrounding folks, even though they're in their house and it's cold outside. And our intention is to just keep following up on this and hoping that it doesn't reoccur. So that's everything I've got.
Question, John.
Yeah.
You mentioned tarping of the fence?
Yeah.
Was that
Well, they've got a chain.
in code that they could do that?
It's questionable.
Right?
They've got a chain link fence that's 3 or 4 feet tall in places. It could be 6 feet tall if they needed it to, but the tarping is essentially just to keep the barking distractions and provocations from occurring.
Sure.
They also, as part of the order, are required to make a tight fence so the animals do not continue to create dog at large situations, which is a separate violation and a separate citation. But I think they understood by the time this was all talked out in front of the court that there's quite a bit to do. We also found out that one of the persons that has an interest in about 30 of the dogs is the mother of one of the owners of the home, and she was the most emotional of the bunch as far as having to do something with the dogs, but we think somebody will be doing some talking with her besides people on the other side of the table like Weston and myself. So anyway, we're hopeful that the first 60 days shows what they needed to do. The court will be ordering Weston to have the authority to enter the house to make inspections. He hasn't had that yet. And then the yard itself, every 60 days or so, we'll have a brief compliance review or a report to the court. Again, that'll be Weston. So you may hear some more out of Weston out of this at one of our next meetings.
Great, thank you. Any questions, council? Okay, committee and board reports, environmental and franchise? Oh yeah, Elizabeth's not here. Anybody else from the committee want to talk?
We met
Judy
with
or Matthew?
Mr. Sorflatten, is that his proper name? About the beaver situation. We just really encouraged him to not focus on the one that there's just not a lot of data on, but to be working, and he apparently has quite an education about beaver colonies and things, and we encouraged him to start educating locally, getting involved with groups that are already here, and just moving along those lines.
There might be a proposal in the future of putting a informational sign up at one of the trailheads about the value of beavers and why they shouldn't be poached.
We would just like to see what he could bring to the city or surrounding area of how important a single beaver or a beaver colony would be for the environment and for our livelihoods. And so we just encouraged him to be bringing that kind of information. He was concerned, about people's perceptions of beavers, and we just said, that's where public education comes in, of how we shift mindsets from 30 years ago to what we would consider them now, especially people moving into more rural areas from larger cities and not necessarily knowing the impact then that's having on our wetlands and other things. So that's where we wanted him to go.
Great, thank you. Water and sewer utilities?
Yeah, I suppose that's me. So the meeting kind of had two halves to it. First, we looked at a few requests to have a reduction in billing, and we are going to make we made motions to recommend to council that they accept the requests at 105 South 3rd Street and 2000 North Court Trailer 9K. These are houses where pipes burst, and it seemed reasonable that the water wasn't going back into the sewer system, so it's not going to cost the city anything to accept those requests. The other requests seemed like they didn't meet a decent standard, so recommend to council that we deny the other two. And then the second half of the meeting, Melanie told us about a tentative upcoming annexation of a portion of Jefferson County Park into the city. They're building a new campground, and it's going to be a high-end campground with plumbing. So they want to use the city's plumbing for that, which means annexing it, I suppose. And then the city was also going to, I believe, pay for expanding the plumbing to make it municipal. That's the broad scope of that one.
What are the amounts of the refunds on these two that you're recommending?
So 105 South 3rd Street is in the amount of $2,960.39. And then 2000 North Court, Trailer 9K, is in $386.41.
Are these true refunds, or are they just taking them off of their bill?
We're
Normally, we would credit their account, and then they can just spend that down.
Okay.
Is there some, maybe is there some context that 2,900 is a big number? Yeah. What happened?
So there was a pipe that burst under a crawl space and was not discovered for a while, is my understanding. But once they discovered it, they did everything they could to repair the damage quickly, and we felt like it was justified.
There is documentation from a reputable plumber that that worked on it or investigated the situation and fixed it. So one that I would trust.
How much is that amount?
It was $2,960.38.
I make a motion to approve that amount. To credit against the account at 105 South 3rd Street.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Toohill. Any discussion? Why don't you go ahead and call the roll?
Gandy?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Let me try again.
Still yes.
People get us confused all the time.
Yeah.
Flournoy?
Yes.
Toohill?
Yes.
Gandy?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Kness?
Yes.
Rowe?
Yes.
Okay, great. So that was a refund. How about 2000 North Court?
How much is it? $386.41.
I'll make the motion to approve that credit back to their account at
Second.
2000 North Court, number 9.
Okay, moved by Gandy, second by Kness. Any discussion?
Yeah. What was the context there? I know it's a smaller amount.
They had a hot water pipe burst, and again, you know, they wanted to fix it up as fast as possible, and it seemed like it was in compliance. I can bring up the details specifically.
What was that, an interior pipe?
It was a hot water pipe.
Under a mobile home.
Excuse me?
Oh, it ran underneath the...
Under the home, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a trailer house. I
Yes,
see.
yes.
Yeah, that's right.
And these again are just the sewer charges on both of these. So there's no
Understood.
forgiveness of water.
Okay, thank you.
The water bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that answers my question.
Okay. Any other questions? Not, please call the roll.
Flournoy?
Yes.
Kness?
Yes.
Toohill?
Yes.
Rowe?
Yes.
Gandy?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Great. Passed unanimously. Ways and Means Committee, I think we've kind of talked about these, but any other discussion?
Well, we're probably not ready
Well-
to ask for we're not asking for a recommendation yet until everybody kind of has a chance to look at the budget. So I think what we discussed already probably encompasses everything that we need to talk about tonight.
Okay, sounds good. Administrator and department reports.
First.
Okay, to touch on a couple things that were mentioned in the reports, follow up on a couple things. John mentioned that about Weston and him getting sued for trespassing. We have ordered and they have arrived body cameras for Weston and for our firemen that are doing rental inspections. So we have one for each for Weston and one for the firemen to utilize. And we'll be using the same recording system that the police have in order to have those interactions with the public recorded. So I think that's a great step. And we've even talked about maybe at some point having, you know, the gentlemen that are doing change out of meters and going into people's homes, having a body camera And so I've explored that option with different cell phone providers and other companies besides going through the police department. But we thought we'd try it with just these two departments first and see how it goes. So we're looking forward to starting that next week. And then on the Jefferson County Park, so I had been working with the county park on this for a while, and then we made some staff decisions. So what we are talking about is the park only needs about a 6-inch sanitary sewer main in order to serve their needs. But because of the proposed location of the campground, it would really benefit the city and growth along Libertyville Road if this was, and I don't have anything in my report, Jason, but it would support growth along Libertyville Road if it was a public sewer rather than a private sewer. So staff made the offer to pay the difference between a 6-inch sanitary sewer and an 8-inch sanitary sewer, as well as some other costs that are in the project. And I have a draft. Well, John said it looks good, so we have an agreement that I'll be sending to the county conservation on how all of the payment of all of that's going to be working for that. But I think it's a really great opportunity to help the county with their development, but also allow us to expand some service area. And there was no action on it from the committee because I forgot to have it put on the agenda.
So we'll annex that part of the county park into the city limits, but it'll still be part of the county park?
Yes. Yep.
And they'll be tax exempt?
Right. Yep. Yeah, so lots of county properties can be in city limits.
Sure. And they'll pay city water rates?
Yes. Yep. That is the condition of the agreement. That again, the conservation and I have come to a verbal agreement on this, but we want to put it in writing so that if neither Sean or myself are not available, that we have it all in writing. But yes, that their condition of annexing, voluntarily annexing, that they would get in-town rates and et cetera. So, and then they will be paying the contractor the full amount, and then they'll be billing us for that difference. So rather than us trying to pay the contractor monthly as they're constructing, I think it's more efficient for them to bill us.
So the advantage here is we get an 8-inch pipe going down Libertyville Road for future development.
Yeah, it's going to be from Key down towards the park. So yeah, it's still Libertyville Road, but not exactly next to the section that we've already done. Let's see, then on the project update, the two biggest things that I wanted to point out is soon, but not quite yet, the Crow Creek Bridge is going to be starting. They're still saying April 15th, but they have requested to schedule a pre-construction meeting next week. So hopefully sooner rather than later that they'll be starting that. I met with the county engineer last week to discuss the detour route, and with Highway 1 going to have work occurring on it, we really think that going down Glasgow and Osage is the best. I know that there's concerns from the public about that intersection of Osage and Glasgow, but the county's put up some flashing lights. They've reduced the speed limit on there. The county engineer suggested maybe some increased patrol when the detour starts. And then we'll also put up a sign, an orange heavy turning traffic or something like that on both sides of that intersection to help raise awareness that, the traffic flow is going to be changing at that intersection. But I think that's going to be the best solution. That also keeps us from having to put any signs on the state right away, which will help this process go along a little bit quicker as well. But we'll be finalizing all of that in the next, or I'll be finalizing that in the next couple weeks, and I'll give the council a copy, and we'll get it out to the public once it's finalized. But that's where we're headed on it. The other thing is, and they may have even started it today, but the city crews are going to be doing some sidewalk maintenance in the downtown area. And so I wanted to refresh the council and let the new council members know. Generally, I think the council has decided that the brick border is the city's responsibility. And then the sidewalk that's between the business and the brick border is the adjacent property owner's responsibility. And so in these two cases that they're going to be doing work, they're actually working on the sidewalk, but it's because the bricks have shifted and moved, and now there's a ledge there. And we can tell that it's the bricks, not the concrete, because there's no cracks in the concrete. The concrete's very solid. I was showing Joe some other places where the bricks, where the concrete had cracked. I said, in this case, it is the concrete's fault, not the brick's fault. But the work that they're going to be doing over the next couple days is the city's responsibility. So if you get any questions why the city's doing so-and-so's sidewalk and not theirs, it is because the brick is shifting in those particular cases rather than the sidewalk. So.
Okay. What are they doing to the sidewalk then?
So they're in one of the places they're going to be grinding the lip down, because the sidewalk is higher than the brick, rather than resetting the brick.
So it's easier than resetting the brick?
Yes. So this is going to be on the northeast corner, by the old Iowa State Bank building, and because it's several spots, and then in
There's some on Main Street too.
Okay.
That I'm aware of.
Okay. And Joe's not aware of that one, but then as you go in front of Mary Welch's building, south of the Iowa State building, there's another area that's actually pooling water, and so they're going to pull the brick up in that case. They are going to reset it because it's a much smaller area. So.
Okay, any questions?
Yes.
John?
Yes,
Can I
John.
ask about the Highway 1 project?
Okay.
And there's going to be some more work done up at the north end to finalize that, is that the way I understand it?
Yes, yep.
Okay, I've had a couple different phone calls, both from the same family, but about the striping down there.
Okay.
When that north part is done, is there going to be some restriping?
Yes, so the entire, maybe not the entire, but a majority of the roadway, it was temporary pavement, temporary paint, not the final paint. They'll be using a more reflective paint for the final.
That's a good answer. The
Okay.
complaints were about near misses because the paint was faded or not there.
Yeah, it's very dirty right now.
Very bad
Yeah.
to drive down there because it's not clear where the road lane ends.
Yeah, and then also so there will be a center turn lane going all the way through Iowa. So that new striping the lanes are going to be readjusted there at Fillmore, and so what is painted there now is coming out.
Okay.
But yes, there is some areas that need painted because and it had to do with the temperature, the outdoor temperature when the paint was put down. They put down temporary paint rather than the good stuff.
Sure.
For lack of a better term.
Sounds like a fix.
Yes.
And that whole intersection will be closed during that process?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. And I had some discussions with the contractor today on some utility meets next week, so that we can get as much ironed out ahead of time as possible, to close it down, get the work done, and get out of there, rather than waiting for utilities to move. You close it down, then waiting for utilities to move. We want to do it the first way, not the second way.
Great. Any other questions? Sounds good.
Thank you.
Doug?
Quickly, the tub grinder is now officially been at the compost site. It's been there for a week, and there is a huge mountain of mulch, and then we're gonna have to figure out what we're gonna do with that. So if you want mulch, come get it. But we're gonna have more stockpile than we're gonna be able to use for several years. We're still going to have to find a place to get rid of it so that we can bring in the other residences' brush. So I also wanted everyone to know that that site will be open on March 4th. And I know that there's been a lot of branches and stuff brought down by the snowstorm. You'll be able to take it there and drop it off, or you can wait until the first Monday or first week of May. I think it's May 6th. The street department will be coming around and picking up those branches and stuff that people haven't hauled out there. So if you want to get rid of it early, it'll be open. I want to say that we had a meeting with the library, the police chief, and I, the library board, the library staff. They've had several incidences with some aggressive patrons, and we walked through the process of their safety and their protocols. And so I appreciate the chief being there to walk us through some of the strengths and weaknesses they have in case that we have a disturbance. That it's important for, no matter whether it be the people in this room, the ladies up front, the library, wherever it may be, we do have people that get upset, and you just never know what that behavior is going to be, and we want to make sure that our staff is safe. So we are constantly talking about, training, de-escalation, those sorts of things. So we'll be revisiting that. We'll be revisiting that here in City Hall as well. I want to say that I spoke on the KMCD Spotlight, and it was brought to my attention that I speak about lost funds. And the question arose, where did the money go that the city lost? And it is the local option sales tax, which we discussed this evening. And I will do better in the future to make sure that if, I define those acronyms, but I can actually say that when I first moved here, I didn't know what they were. I actually thought that we lost the ballot question, and it didn't make sense to me for a while until I got in depth into the city. So I will do better, and hopefully if somebody has that question, you might respond to that, because we have acronyms for everything. So I talked to the Parks Department director, and if everyone has noticed, and we've discussed the volleyball tournaments that have come into town, I want to say that these events, plus the car shows, plus all of these social events that we have, are not only good for the community, but the residents, but also the community as a whole. It brings people in from outside of the city, and they visit our restaurants and our hotels, and they patronize just about everything we have. So it does bring in sales tax dollars. It does bring in a lot of other things. So we want to encourage people for us to continue to have these things, and if we can do better at advertising, we will. But I did see a lot of people here, and when I talked to Calvin, it brought in about 1,500 extra people, which is really nice for Fairfield. I want to talk about the budget process that Go ahead.
Can I make a comment about the volleyball tournaments?
Yeah.
There are people parking illegally around that area, and I came in to one of the entrances. There's a fence there on Ninth Street. I didn't hit the car, but I felt like I came pretty close because it was parked illegally. I'm just wondering if they can, Family Video lot is empty. They can just put a sign, event parking this way, charge $5 a spot, and get those cars out of the parking lot there on Ninth Street, so that it's not creating a problem. So, just a suggestion.
Yep, we'll have that discussion. So, I want to talk about the budget process that we've been talking about for months. And I want to say thank you not only to Melanie and Rebecca, but the department heads, but Melanie and Rebecca have been here on the weekends and going through this over and over and over and over again. But the Ways and Means Committee, the fact that they sat down for hours and they were respectful, they had their spirited debates, which I appreciated very much, but everybody was calm. They didn't take anything personally. It really was a great process. I learned a lot. I'm going to continue to learn a lot. I realized the professionals that we actually have that you know, the council has, but also as the city departments, but there was a lot of intelligent conversation, and it wasn't hostile, and they had to make some tough decisions, and I really appreciate that. It means a lot. We went through a lot of ups and downs, and they stuck through it to go through. There were some takeaways that I don't know if we need to go through it, that I really want to mention, that we are looking for ways that we've discovered to increase revenues. We're going to review fund balances and historical fund balances and ask council to recommend minimum percentages to keep them regularly, which we discussed earlier. Review incomes to expenses ratios for Parks and Recreation, which is also something we just talked about, and other departments and what that looks like. I can tell you that we did look into Parks and Rec. The policy says to try to maintain 45% of the revenues versus expenditures. They're actually sitting at about 65 to 70%, and we'll continue to look and see where we can do better than that even. We'll start to, they already do, but we're going to do a better job of maybe we don't want to micromanage, but put a microscope on, you know, our budget line item and making sure that we're minimizing our budget adjustments and reducing budget amendments. I don't know that it hasn't happened since I've been here, but I haven't been here that long. So that's something that we really don't want to do, and we'll try to keep an eye on that. And then we have a very large list of council goals of all of the things. And I would like for the council to consider of maybe picking maybe 3 or 4 things that we can actually look at, figure out how we're going to achieve those, and get them done. And then move on, because the list that we do have is a great list, but it's large and it takes a lot of funding. So if we could figure out maybe reducing and say, I need you to focus on this, and let's get that done. And hopefully we'll see some progress. So that was kind of something that was in my mind. And then, yes, we are going to continue working on communication. If I need to do better, please let me know. And if there's something that I can do differently, please let me know. I want to say thank you specifically to the street department. It was 2 weekends ago? Or was it last weekend?
No, it was, yeah, probably a couple
But
weeks
it was
ago.
Saturday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I got a text that says, hey, you have a damaged stormwater intake. And I sent that picture to Melanie and Joe Hurd. And within 15 minutes of that text, whoever stopped what they were doing and barricaded that off. And then the very following Monday, the street department went in and actually redid that whole thing. And I don't know if you've ever seen that done before, but it's a pretty extensive process. Those intakes cost about $5,000 each. It's a lot cheaper when we do them in-house. And I really want to say thank you not only to the street department, but all the departments. They really do have that work ethic and that commitment, and no matter what day or time or night it is, it just seems like the street department has been really shining lately because of the snowstorms and all the other things, but really everybody is dedicated, and it's, you know, like I said in here, this is loyalty, experience, work ethic, and dedication at its finest. And it really is, and I appreciate it. And I don't have to question my employees. They just, if I need something, you bring it to me, and I ask them, they come. It's amazing. So like I told them, it's like magic. It really is. So that's all I have.
And you know, that came from a citizen. So there was a part of the curb where the intake was that, you know, a small child could have fallen through there. Or you could have lost your dog. I wasn't, you know, was more worried about a small child, toddler. And, you know, it was a citizen who cared, who called me, and, you know, we had to walk around the square. It was identified. Again, I called Doug, sent him a picture. And again, like he said, within 15 minutes, somebody was up there and had cones there. And on Monday or Tuesday, they were trying to fix it. So appreciate the citizen call, and we welcome those.
Yeah. And I had nothing to do with it. It had everything to do with them. Without them, we're not functioning, and I appreciate it.
Yeah. Great. Okay, any questions for Doug? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Toohill,
Second.
second by Kness. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned. Thank you for your time, everybody.